here inside the Noman Green Screen hangar, the Noman store, on the grounds of the famous Noman School of Visual Effects. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs, around the world, and in Montreal specifically, because I'm sitting here with the Montreal modelers from, basically, we've got Marc-Olivier Plouffe and Cedric Seaut. I say that correctly? I always mess up the names, man. You know? Cedric Seaut.
Yeah, so it's
Ah, ça va?
Ouais. Most of the time this is salt.
So this is okay. Ben non. Okay, parfait. I've been gone for too long. From the Keos Maison. Interesting name. How did you come up with the name, first and foremost? Keos Maison?
How we came up with the name is such a weird process because, well, first of all, like every name has been named now.
You think so?
So like the 17 first name that we found that we thought were like genius, we're like, oh no, that's good. That's already taken. There's a copyright on this one. Okay, well, is there a copyright if like we change like that letter for a number? And they're like, okay, well, first of all, it's not a good trick. And second, yes, it's also already taken.
Right.
So,
Isn't it amazing how that's going on more and more these days? I tried to buy a website the other day because I want to do this like graphic novel with my friends. And I go and I look, and the person who owns it is like, nothing to do with graphic novels. I say, well, how could you have even thought of this name?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any, the guy sells like, I don't know. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So how did this happen?
I think what happened was we decided, well, you know what? We're gonna put a little bit of like me and a little bit of him into like the name, and really just like let's each choose a word that means something to us.
Okay.
That means it has to do with what we want to accomplish with the company.
Right.
So what happened is I was like, well, I want to be. I had just had this like builder thing in my head. So I was like, well, you know what? Like we're creating stuff. We're still digital, but I want to use like a word that has to do with the organic process of doing stuff. So I was like, well, you know what? Masons sounds nice. I mean, it's almost like the name of a killer.
Say it again one more time.
Masons?
Masons. He said, I like that he said it. Masons.
Masons?
Yeah, very good.
I'm French.
I know that, yeah. So from Montreal, right? This is like apparently
Well,
I know
French-Canadian.
Yeah, French-Canadian. I'm Canadian also. Whoa, we're contingent here. We should have the banner, right?
That's the connection, man.
Una bandera.
And the chaos part is...
It's something...
Pass the microphone.
For me, Keos, it was something I really wanted to add on the company name, because for me, Keos, it's a source of inspiration.
Chaos, but like chaos as chaos.
Because we write it Keos, but at the real meaning, it's chaos. So, and for me, it's very important to say that you can, inspiration is from anything.
Absolutely.
So it's chaos. So I just wanted to express that in a way.
Like a storm,
Yeah.
like we were joking earlier when I was making up my pseudo-Italian nickname this morning, calling myself the electricity of the jellyfish and the waters of the Mediterranean, and ever since the Luigi Lamazza was born. But I think that there's something to be said about that from a designer's perspective. When you talk about chaos, we were discussing this with some younger students yesterday evening, or I was discussing it with them. They approached me and asked me about design, and I thought everything is coming from a very energetic place. I think we talked this morning about this as well off camera. At least for me, and then you guys agreed with me. And you actually mirrored some of that when you were talking about where these ideas come from, and that there are these ascriptions that people have, or these ascribed ideas of what could be the way you approach a design. It's really just coming from an energetic place in here and an explosiveness, and it depends on what really matters is not the way that you do it, it's rather the energy that's being sort of taken and put into the world. And I think I really resonated with you there. I thought, oh, that's a very mature perspective. So how did you come to these constructions in your mind? Because I could go on all day about how I've come to them. And how do you feel about it? Where does that get born in you as a designer? Where did you start thinking about that idea that the energy is more important?
It just happened because I experienced it by accident with while I was working in the industry, and that thing happened, which he was pretty much the investigator of that, like those brainstorming sessions.
Right.
For me, it was so freeing to be able to just throw ideas like this,
right.
Because I think a lot, not about good things all the time, but
me too.
There's a lot of things happening here,
Sure.
and some are like super bad, but some are actually have potential. And you want to throw even those two, the potentially good and the potentially bad. You throw it out there. It goes in someone else's ear, and what it can happen is that he's going to turn the potentially bad one into like a new good one, or he's going to take the good one, he's going to drive it even forward, even more. Places where you don't necessarily go because, I mean, like you like your stuff, but you also, in a sense, like stuff that you don't know that you like yet. And by exchanging with like people, you actually end up with like, first of all, you grow inside because, I mean, communication is so important in the as an artist, I find. And also like within the company, you just end up having like great products that are just like so rich because like everybody actually threw a ball around and stuff. And I mean, that's exactly why brainstorming exists. And that's a reason why it should actually be even more important for some people. I find like not a lot of like company maybe use that, or they do it like really, really close. Like you got like those core teams, and they're the one that's gonna throw the ball around. But
Right.
I mean, I think it's so fresh when you actually are able to incorporate more people, right? I guess there's a maximum amount of number because at some point maybe things become noise.
Right.
But it's so good to be able to share ideas with like other people, even if it's not to create anything.
But
Just for fun.
I think you've embodied the sort of the beginnings of your company name with the Keos Maison is you're sort of living the name and trying to embody that with your approach to the work.
It's the goal.
Yeah, and I think that you guys are really spot on with that at this particular point. You have a very interesting trajectory, Marco. You started mentioning earlier inside of the main stage that you were working for the government in Canada. I
Yep.
wanted to talk with you because there was a time also when I worked for Banque TD.
Okay.
So that's a long time ago, but it's a similar sort of construct
different time.
at different time in our lives. And you know that it's wrong when you start drawing cartoons all day, and you should be in the accounting department, and you're making puppet shows for your friend across the room.
For a second, I thought you were talking about my story because
No,
that's
it's me. Yeah,
exactly
it's
the
a very
same.
similar thing, right? Okay, I'm glad to hear this. That as Canadian kids, we're saying, well, this was. Describe your experience and what some of the processes were for releasing yourself from that, because I know that behind that camera, around the world, you can look over there. I'm going to look over there, and I'm going to look at you.
Hey.
But behind the camera, on the other side of the camera, there are lots of people who are wondering, how can I make the first step to move away from what I'm doing? And I think that it's something that we gloss over sometimes. How did it go for you?
Yeah. Well, actually, what happened to
Transgressing
me?
through fear.
Yeah. I think what happened is that I knew from the beginning when I was a kid what I wanted to do is just like it's kind of like the same thing that I said on the stage, but whatever. I knew what I wanted to do is just like growing the guts to actually do it because it's like intimidating. And at some point, when I was a kid, I thought that working in a video game industry had to be like a demigod because video games are so cool and it's so fun, and like getting there for me was like almost abstract. I didn't know how to actually get there.
Right.
And that's why I ended up like doing being at the government because it was the easy thing for me. I mean, I've always was kind of like good with computers.
Right.
Not really, that I realized later, but still I was good enough to actually be a technician at the government repairing computers for
Let's
the
slow this
employees.
down a moment. This guy is talking about a job with a government that is, this guy could have stayed. You could have stayed there and had a very comfortable life and
Yep, it
collected
was.
your checks, and you could
It
have had a
was.
very long pension plan with the Canadian government. I mean, this is a huge deal.
Well, that's
to some
where I was
people.
going.
Socialized healthcare, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I actually worked for the government for 3 years, and they paid well. I actually bought myself a house in my hometown where I was working
What's
for the
your
government. It's called Hull.
Hull.
It's
Hull.
close to Ottawa. Like, you know Ottawa.
I know
right?
Ottawa and I know Hull. Hull is
Yeah.
the place for a lot of hockey players. You play any hockey?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, play when I was a kid,
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
Canadian, right? So I know how to play hockey.
Okay, I'm collecting hockey players, Paul.
Yeah, there you go.
have a
But
team.
yeah, we have like a little team, the Olympics and everything. It's pretty cool to see that. But yes, that's where I was in Hull. I bought myself a house there. I bought myself like a car. I just needed the girl, and then like
Wow,
we
you had
just
the
start
whole thing.
family.
You had the thing
Exactly.
lined up.
Yeah, and then at some point I realized, you know what? Everything that I have is not making me happy, and like probably it needed like a little bit of like soul searching, right, to really understand like why. And at some point I realized, well, it's been 10 years that I didn't draw. I'm not inspired by anything, but I still, in the back of my head, have this like goal that I set when I was a kid to work in the video game industry as an artist. And I was like, well, you know what? Now, like I was, I think 21 when I realized that. I
Right.
was like, well, you know what? There's no excuse for me to actually not do it. So what I did is I actually sold the house. I lost so much money doing that because I like owned it for like a year and a half.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and I went to Montreal. I realized in Montreal you cannot own a car, so I sold my car. I went to school. I actually studied there. Getting to the school, I had to like draw like a portfolio, right? Because I didn't have anything.
Traditional drawings is what you mean.
Yeah, just like sketch and stuff.
This is the first love for you.
Yeah, but the thing is that I've never actually went to school for that. I never learned academically how to draw. So it was just like things that I knew how to do them. And when I realized that I actually needed to have the portfolio for the school, well, that's when I said, well, you know what? I'm going to have to start drawing at work, at the like to build my portfolio. So that's like the part that my old boss would be not really happy, but it's clearly like, you know what? The first half of the day, I'm going to do everything that needs to be done during the day. I'm going to do it quickly, and then I'm just going to turn 90 degrees in the other direction of the cubicle, and I'm just going to draw, go on the internet for tutorials, and build that portfolio.
I want to interject and tell the world that, for the most part, most of those jobs off the record, we're on the record because the cameras are rolling, it takes about 20 minutes to do the work in those places, and the rest of the day is spent drinking coffee and looking busy.
You know what? That's there are some pretty hardworking people. I met some people that was like, you are like the pillar of like that section. I feel bad
saying
like,
that now.
Stay there.
Can I take it back?
But
we were younger then.
Yeah, we were younger.
Yeah, we were much younger then.
We were fools.
What? So then basically you decided, hey, I'm going to do this, and you just
I went for
on the pursuit.
Went for it, and the thing is that I think because of like that time that I spent before, it actually it's like the crouching tiger, right? I was just like going at it like, I don't know if I should go, I don't know if I should go, I don't know if I should go, and then at some point I was like, no, that's it. I know I have to do it. Right. I know I have to do it. I'm going to do everything that I need to do to actually do it. Exactly.
Right,
so I mean, like this force actually helped me to go through all like the misadventures, like selling the house, moving away from my family, moving away from my friends, and to start this new life somewhere else, just to apply, like to have this thing here. But I knew I wanted to have it, and when I was at school, it was hard, and it's pretty hard to get into the industry because so much people want to do it, and it's kind of hard to be an artist and to do good stuff, right? But I mean, if you know you want to do it, well, then you just need to
just keep
do
plugging away.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say the drawing was your impetus for this. Pass the mic over to Cedric. You don't like to draw so much traditionally, is what you were saying earlier.
No, I love drawing,
but you find it difficult in some way.
Yeah,
maybe.
very difficult because it's flat, and for me it was very difficult to just see things, to touch things, because I'm more a guy based on feelings and sensations, and just when you see the character and it doesn't move. For me, I don't know, I don't feel very good, and when I create a character, I just feel the character. I just want to feel the character. That's why when I play in 3D, not in 3D, in sculpting, in ZBrush the first time, for me it was a relief. I knew exactly what I wanted to do
you were
for
liberated.
all my life. Because it's just the quicker way to just express what you have in mind, and for me it was just perfect match. So yes.
I think it's a perfect match also of personalities because you're coming from different sort of perspectives in that regard, and you have this sort of very nice balance as well as a juxtaposition of character when it comes to that concert. What is your take on having a partner in crime and some of the benefits of that?
Working with Marco for me was a second relief because you need someone anyway. Because when you keep working somewhere, you just need someone just to take your hands and sometimes say, no, this way it's bad. You have to look at this way, and it's new and it's good. Look, there are some new colors over there. You have to come with me. And it's something we really do very well. So sometimes we just lost ourselves, and when you're alone, it's very easy to just take your way, that's it. And it's the only thing you see. But in the artist world, you need to see many things everywhere. And when we are two, it's something we do very easily. And Marco is a very open-minded guy.
He seems like a very open-minded guy.
Yeah, he's a very open-minded guy.
Comme c'est comme ça, hein? Ouais, mais non.
So for him, it's very, very nice to talk with him. And I always remember that the time we had in THQ, just talking about ideas, brainstorming all the time. It was probably, for me, it was a tilt. Okay, Marco, I didn't tell you that, but I want to work with you for a long time. Because you are like, what's the name in English? Catalyzer?
Catalyst.
Catalyst, right. Yeah,
so
I understand that. Hey,
it's
I'm
good to have
Canadian too.
ideas, but you need something to generate even more than the small ideas. And he's so good with that.
I think you're raising a very important point. So if you're out there listening as well, this is great career advice. If you find someone who is a partner, there's a lot of tandem combinations that you look, historically speaking, at very successful teams. and you say, oh, wait a minute, there's two people there. Especially, you know, if you look at musicians, for instance, you know, Lennon, McCartney.
South Park guys.
Yeah, the South Park guys. You've got Keith and Mick, of course, are two of my favorites from the Rolling Stones. And that type of thing proliferates its way into being creative. You need to have a sort of yin and yang. It's a living embodiment. I want to say hi to my partner in crime who's making his way back from Paris right now, Loic Zimmerman. I've been working with him over the last few months on some things, so it's really, I understand what the dynamic is there, because you can create some really incredible projects and make some crazy things happen when it's not just you by yourself. You have some responsibility to someone else, I think, like a teammate, or you have a fraternity or brotherhood.
Well,
You know, how do you feel? Take the microphone. Yeah, tell me about that for you, Marco. What it's like for you in the same regard.
I think it's hard to say why we actually are such a good team, me and him, because in reality there's some obvious things that actually would show that we don't share like the same vision. But I think that thing that actually makes me happy to be with Cedric, have our own company, is because the thing that I think connects us is the fact that nothing is going to be taken wrong, and it's always like, you know, something is said always in like good intentions and everything.
Absolutely.
Like there's no or if there is, it's like 0.1% of like ego in like what's happening, right? Like, you know, that like if something is said, if an advice is given, it's because it's really for the best, and it's really to actually together exploring.
Right,
like,
yeah,
in
it's
new
coming
venues, right?
coming from a positive place because you've built a layer of trust with one another. You know, I
exactly.
think that's the dance of life. Is you work
Yeah.
very diligently and hard to find someone like that. You know.
And it's kind of hard. I mean, it's not with everything that it connects like that. I mean, basically, if you're a good person, you're going to be able to be honest and have good values toward like your
Right.
like your brothers, everybody like working near you. But sometimes when things come so naturally, like what happened with Cedric, it's just something I was like, well, I need to cherish that. I mean, there's strength.
It's
in
very
that,
rare.
For sure. Yeah, it's rare,
And it's very rare.
You can't force it at all. It's just like if it happens, if you're I guess lucky enough for it to happen,
Yeah.
you really have to realize your luck and to not let that be a waste.
To squander it is how we would say it. Don't squander your luck.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is that, do you feel that the connection that you have with one another has allowed you to break away more freely? Because I think maybe if you were an individual trying to break away, you may have had more creeper sort of feelings of fear in the background. Do you think that because you're a unified front, you say, well, we can do this because there's more than one of us?
That's actually a good question. Do you want to answer this one? No. All right. Well, the thing is that when we actually had this idea of like we said, it came really early. The idea that like someday we're gonna create something, right?
Right.
But like the moment that it was like the jump, the leap of faith moment happened because we actually found a safe way to do it, or at least something that we considered was like safe. Like that's the moment to quit the industry and to do this thing for our own. And it's really easier to do it together, and because first of all, I mean, you can really just like discuss about it, realize, okay, what's our priorities, what do we want to do, what's our goal, and how do we get there, and when do we do it? And it's to be honest, I don't think I would have did it alone. Actually,
I was wondering the whole time. I thought to myself, I don't think they would have done it alone.
No.
So I'm glad to hear you say that, because it's really sort of telling for the people at home who are watching. It's,
well, some people are really great, and they're fearless, and they're going to do it anyway.
Absolutely.
And I find that genius, and it's really cool. For me, it's I always found strength in numbers.
Me too. Collectivism over
exactly.
individualism, but that might have something to do with where we come from.
Maybe actually.
Yeah.
I never actually really dug deeper into
I've been
it.
thinking about it more and more, but that's a whole other construct, societally speaking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. That's gonna. That
Yeah,
can go
I'll leave
far.
you with
Do you
that
have
one,
2
yeah.
other hours?
Yeah, we don't have the time to talk about the constructs of that and the overwhelming successes that are associated with that. But you think that you're agreeing with what I'm saying, basically?
No,
and
totally.
saying-
It's I would not have done it alone. I'm not the guy that starts the fire. I'm the guy that actually feeds the fire.
Okay.
So when I met this guy here that mostly had the idea, I have to give it to Cedric. He's the one that really thought of the whole thing.
It's the idea factory,
He's the idea factory.
and you're the coal miner.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
But those
No,
are interplays. They
but-
go back and forth because this happens oftentimes.
Yeah.
So, you have charge each other up and get those electric bolts as we
Exactly.
spoke
Like
of
now we're
earlier.
balanced and like the driving force behind like what we do. But at first it was that his idea, me backing it up, and then like it just became like, oh, okay, no, it became like
Right.
we can unite it in the idea. So when we said, well, it's time for us to leave, it was pretty weird, but it was pretty cool. Actually, you know what? This is like a trivia thing. When we announced our retirement from the company, we actually went to see like the same HR guy with the same letter of like we quit, but just like different names and stuff. And the guy looked at the letters. He was like, "Yeah, you could have just tried to actually just make it a little tinier, a little bit different."
Yeah.
But it's funny, so whatever.
Right.
And also, just to say, like, we really, when we actually took this decision, we really tried to not burn our bridges, right?
Of
Because
course not, yeah.
it's
That's very important.
yeah, totally. I mean, we didn't quit the industry because like we think the industry sucks. We didn't quit Eidos because we didn't like the people there and the projects and
But you
everything.
didn't really
it was
quit. I
such
mean,
a
you're
great
still
time.
involved. You're still involved in.
Oh, I mean,
of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
you're
of
just doing your
course.
own thing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and
All artists anyway.
yeah,
Say
exactly.
again into the microphone.
Because for me, it's there's many companies, but we are all artists and we are all connected anyway. So for me, it's not quitting a company. Just okay, I'm just beside, but I'm still there. So we can just still work together, and I respect you, respect me, and we can share ideas, we can share techniques, we can just
Right.
work together. Because for me, working together, it's probably the most important thing in all industry. And sometimes we forget that, but
Yeah.
it's so important because if we don't do that, if we don't look at the other guy just beside us, we don't go forward. We just go backward. And I just want things to change a little bit more. So just to give the opportunity to everyone to express themselves and just go with everyone and do something very cool.
Grow with everyone.
Because we just want to do something very cool.
A very positive outlook
Yeah.
on this whole thing. Do you feel that you've been afforded the opportunity to be more creative in this regard, or are you feeling that? What is the sort of relationship that you're having with your clients now?
I think it's more creative.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
much more.
Yeah,
For sure.
Go ahead, please. Yeah, yeah.
I think one of the good thing about actually having your own company is also it's like a stupid thing, but like you can label yourself as anything you want, right?
Yeah,
So
of course. You're managing the brand now.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, you get to choose like, well, you know what? My title now, I'm now a concept artist. I decided that I was. I'm gonna back it up with like a strong portfolio to show that like I'm no
Absolutely.
bullshit. But the point is that like I think we've actually been able to actually get more opportunities of doing more work that we wanted to do because we actually tried to find the clients that's first going to give us the kind of work we want to do. But it actually also helps to be able to kind of like show what you want to do, who you want to become,
Right.
what you want to do, like and support your goals that you set for yourself. I mean, if we want to do more design, you have to actually do more design because like you have to pave the road like where you want to go.
Samples. Yeah, samples.
But you also actually have to have like the other people helping you by giving you like the opportunity, right? So I think we would be able to be more creative just by actually kind of like saying to people like we want to be creative, we want to work we want to work for you to give you that because we like that. And first of all, if you give us a job that we like, you know that you're gonna get like good results, right? Because I mean, if you always end up doing something that you don't like,
course.
you're gonna be like a good shit, and you're gonna do your work, you're gonna do it fine, and you're gonna make your client happy. That's like the rule that everybody should do. But the thing is that like when you can actually tell a client, well, you know what? If you give me that, I'm gonna be super happy, and it's gonna be awesome because I want to do that.
We can go
and
further.
That is great.
Yeah, reach further.
Exactly, and that's the thing that's actually pretty cool. And we got to actually meet some clients that they actually understand that thing, and it's really really cool actually.
You're being well received, is what you're getting at.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, some clients are really, really like very, I guess, human would be the terms because like they understand like you're an artist. There's some stuff you like to do, and we're gonna actually help you like do those things. Like for example, like Jeff Adam at Tug Game. Yeah, it's a pretty cool guy.
Hello, Jeff.
Hey Jeff, if you're watching, so I mean like that's an example of a client that actually. He knows he's working with humans, and it's not even if we don't work in his studio, even if we're remote, he knows how to treat us well. And I mean, we've been blunt with him. We said like, well, if you can give us good stuff, we're gonna do. If you give us fun stuff, we're gonna do good stuff. So, and I mean, some people like Jeff, they understand that, and that's the kind of people you want to orbit around, right?
Yeah,
If you have the
absolutely.
choice of clients.
I mean, I'm blessed to be around creative people all the time. So for me, I understand fully what you're saying. I mean, a long-standing career of being around creative people.
Yeah.
The team behind the software, the people here at the Noman School of Visual Effects. It's just, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the birth canal of cool. I mean, and the birth canal of creativity, the hub here
Nice
inside the
picture.
Noman School. Right. So in this regard, you know, further projects or future projects and aspirations, where do you see this going in a bigger picture? You see it growing?
Yeah. Well, I think no. That's the
You
one.
can pass it over to him. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid.
Go on.
Okay.
Our future goals.
I can try. My future goal is to create our own stuff. Actually, it's
More
a
of your
dream
own
for
IP
many
production.
artists for sure, but I don't know. It's a child dream maybe. Try to play with, because I have a son and I used to play with him all the time, and I bless him that thanks to him I'm a child again.
Yeah.
And for me, it's awesome. So I just want to make them dream, to make some new ideas, to make some, and I would like to also break the ideas. All we know, I would like to just put different things inside that and try to push a little bit more the ideas.
Shatter the barriers of what
Yeah.
people have constructed in their minds for how they perceive this to be
Exactly.
and where it could go.
So basically, really quickly,
Take your time.
it's like creating ideas just for fun, but making people realize that like those ideas, you can actually buy them if you want. It's like selling skin. You put you put the skin over a game,
Right.
and actually it gives you like, you got the infrastructure ready, and now we work on actually making like this skin over it like the coolest possible, and you know it's going to come from the hearth, because it's actually something that we did us for fun in a sense.
That's fantastic.
But like that's the utopia. But I mean that's the goal we're reaching for, and we're gonna see where we're gonna end up. But that's exactly where we're going.
How do you feel about this whole thing being here for the big ZBrush Summit 2015? How does it make you feel to be here in the collective?
It's so great to like meet like all the other artists,
Very
because
cool,
like
right?
you just see their work and you're like, well, that's great, that's awesome. And then you meet them and you're like, oh yeah, they're human and they're actually fun, and it's great. And it's so cool to actually be able to put a face and to see that they're just like smiling people, happy people. They like to share, they like to do all that
Absolutely.
stuff. And it's so fun to see that there's a lot of like younger people also coming here to view that stuff. And it's just great to see that our industry is like growing,
Continuing to expand.
and people are excited about this stuff. And it's always like, if you put that energy out, that energy is going to come back to you. So like just the excitement of knowing people were coming here to learn stuff, I was just like, well, you know what, that's just the energy that I need to drive myself to be here and to actually
That's
do the best that I
fantastic.
can.
So fresh off the foothills of day 2, we came into day 3 here, the last day of the ZBrush Summit. They're giving me the spinning finger of death in the background. I can feel the tingle in my fingers. The electricity is high.
It's
We're going to
there.
keep the ball rolling here. We had Cedric Seaut and Marc-Olivier Plouffe from Keos Maison, all the way from Montreal. We are here with the Champagne Kisses and Caviar Dreams. The trophies were delivered last evening. On behalf of myself, Louis Tucci, and the rest of the Pixelogic team, we'll see you in the other room. Paul, take it away.
Thanks, Louis.